Never miss an episode of the Final Furlong podcast. Subscribe now on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And now, here's your host, Emmet Kennedy.
Welcome along to a special edition of the Final Furlong podcast, where we are going to preview the first couple of days of racing at the Doncaster St Leger Festival. We've got Adam Mills, as always, alongside me from TPD, and making his debut on the show. We've stolen him from the Bar Stewards for one podcast. Maybe not one only, though. Hopefully it'll be first of many. It is Patrick Veitch's lesser-known brother, Jack Veitch. Welcome to the show.
There we go. Good evening, Emmet. I can't claim to be a relative of Patrick, but hopefully after a few winners you think I might be, so there we go.
You can't claim to be a relative of Patrick, but nobody said I can't claim that whatsoever. So how is Tony Bloom doing, and is Venetian Sun a good thing?
Tony's doing well. I think he had a very good weekend, didn't he? What did he reel off? A three-timer on Saturday. So, yeah, not that he was going poor, but I think he'll keep his head above water for another day.
And you say you're not related to Patrick Veitch. I don't believe it, Jack, at all. We're going to take you through some of the most interesting races over the next few days at Doncaster, and we'll get the thoughts from the boys on the St Leger and the Irish Champion Stakes as well. I've got a wild one for the Irish Champion Stakes, which Adam didn't laugh at, actually, and he didn't try to talk me out of either. So he's 33-1 currently, so more on that to come in a little bit. The betting for the Weatherby Scientific £300,000 2-year-old stakes was headed by Brussels. He's drifted out a little bit, 7-2. He's been replaced by Gel Pepper, who he finished in front of in the July Stakes at Newmarket. More on that to come. Calendar Girl, Safi Osborne takes over 13-2. Song of the Clyde has already got one of these big sales races in the bag. 13-2 shot as well. Adam, what's your thoughts on the race?
I thought this was a very hard race to pull apart. Song of the Clyde is one that I did look at, because I like the fact that when you win one sales race, you have another crack at another one. But I just thought the price was a bit short. I could see Brussels absolutely bolting up. I could also see Brussels finishing out the back of the telly. I'm not really sure what to make of that run last time. The one that I came down on is like a sort of a big double-figure price of Richard Hannon called Slay Queen. Won the last two starts. The three-runner race at Goodwood was completely pointless, and you can't really learn a lot from that. But the time before at Newbury, I thought she produced a really good performance to win there. Is that good enough to win a race at this level? We're not sure, but I'm getting a big price, 18-1 at the time of recording. I really liked her closing sectionals. She had a really good run-out speed of 34.47 at Newbury. Although Doncaster is a different track, they're relatively similar in terms of their makeup. And when I looked at her stride data and the stride frequency she shows in the latter stages, she comes out top on the TPD records. So for that reason, I thought she was worth a swing each way at 18-1, but it would be a very small play in an open race.
Okay, small stakes definitely recommended. We don't know enough about these horses to be really confident about anything. The thing that would concern me about Brussels is I understand the drop back in trip, but it was his second start in the July Stakes, in fairness, and maybe he's going to improve for it. And I don't see why Gel Pepper finishes in front of him. But Aidan's had Camille Pizarro, Johannes Brahms, Hippocrates, and the Irish Rover beaten in this race, and that's just to name a few. Sire did win the race in 2010, and I do like that angle, so maybe, just maybe, and he's a horse that will suit Christophe Soumillon. But I'm with Calendar Girl. Sire won 3 Group 1 sprints, advertised. Sister Gutsy Girl was placed twice at listed company over 5 and 6 furlongs. Really impressive at Newbury under Jim Crowley, who we wish well. Jim never had to touch her that day. She won very, very nicely. That was Owen Burrows' first 2-year-old winner of the season. She pulled nicely clear of her rivals. The second was a runner-up on his next start. The third already had racecourse experience and won next time out. She was sent off an odds-on favourite at Epsom the next day. Poorly positioned. The winner got first run on her. You can just ignore that. The winner has also won a nursery off a mark of 81 next time out. But you can mark that performance up. Owen Burrows has a 55% strike rate over course and distance. 9 runners, 5 winners. 33% strike rate when he teams up with Safi Osborne. 2 wins, 1 place from 6 runners. He's had 3 winners from 7 runners in the last 14 days. And she's second top rated on adjusted figures on time form. And she gets weight from her main rivals. Strong pace is going to help her. She's a really strong travelling horse. Safi Osborne takes over for the first time. There's a lot to like about her, except the price. 13-2 is not great, but it's who I'm going to go for. Jack, though, has a big double price swing.
I do, Emmet. It has been chipped at a bit today, so whoever the tipster is who's put that up, I'm annoyed at you, but there we go. But I'm with you both in the sense it's a small stakes race. It's an open heat. Personally, was against Brussels. He's a horse I really liked off the back of his debut. Thought July Stakes, Ryan went about 49 million miles an hour out front on him, and I think just completely blew him up. then was beaten last time out by Secret Adversary. The form in behind's not worked out at all. As you pointed out, Emmet, he's not had a great record in this race, Aidan. So look, he may well go and win, and fair enough, but wouldn't be for me. Song of the Clyde, completely understand the case for him. Did very well at York. Calendar Girl also. I was with Mr. Seagull here for the Hugo Palmer and Oisin Murphy teaming up. Those two, interestingly, have a very good record when teaming up. They're 1.27 actual over expected, so about 27% over market expectancy. Had a good winner at Goodwood actually teaming up. I think it was C. Galazzo perhaps. But I like the way this horse did well on debut to win at Pontefract, and then last time out was beaten under a penalty at Kempton. I think the winner of that was a very good horse, Ammo horse, Monarch's Gold, I think the name was. But to run a close second to him is no problem at all. I think this horse will step forward. I know the weight structure doesn't always work out. He's rated 85 officially, carries 9 stone 4 here, but I think he'll run well at an each way price. You tend to want to be either drawn low or high here. Drawn in 7. I did see the pace map and I thought most of the pace was probably high, but I think he should get a decent sit from draw 7, and I'd expect him to outrun those lofty odds. So at around the 14-16 to 1 mark, he'd mark as a decent each way bet for myself.
Shout out to the Dubai viewers. Your commentator who always goes, Doug Watson, whenever one of those horses bolts up in Meydan. This horse is a brother to one of Doug Watson's gazillionaire horses, and Hugo has a horse who won as well. I can't remember that commentator's name. It's all that ever stands out. Doug Watson. 16 to 1 is the price about your horse. And wasn't Seagull's 11 one of the horses that Oisin Murphy rode to victory at Glorious Goodwood?
Yes, I was thinking of Seagull's 11, exactly. So, those two have teamed up quite well this year.
Yeah, they have. Much to the delight of Adam Mills, much to the absolute chagrin of me. Oh, dearie me. That form does tie in with a race, though, that we'll talk about a little bit later on. We'll go for the Betfred Mayhill Stakes, the Group 2 on Thursday. We've got the Fillies. I'm pretty certain we've got the winner of this race. Cheveley Park won this in 2021 with Inspiral. And the Dam of Moon Target is a sister to Inspiral. It's all in place for the family to be in the winner's enclosure again. She was backed as though defeat was out of the question at Goodwood the last day. Aidan O'Brien's Precise ended up winning that race. Precise has a lovely pedigree. She was a winner the last time out, and yet all the money was for Sir Mark Prescott's horse. And with the greatest of respect, Sir Mark Prescott is a legend. You do not associate Sir Mark Prescott with 2-year-old winners. You certainly don't associate him with well-backed first-time-out juvenile winners and odds-on second start of their life juvenile winners and 13-8 favourite for a Group 3 juveniles. And yet that's exactly what this horse has been. I don't think she liked Goodwood. She's got a long action. She just seemed to struggle there. She was off the bridle early on. I think she'll put it right and win this race, Adam.
She should do. Her form is probably clear of most of these. Fastest final furlong at Goodwood. I think you're right. The track was just against her up to a mile. She's got a Fillies mile entry, so if she's going to run in that, they must look at this race. I think we should probably be winning this. Do I want to take the 13 to 8? I think I'm happy just to sit on the fence at that, because I think in time she's going to need 10 furlongs, and I could just see if it became tactical, I'd be worried, because I think she wants it to be a really honest gallop, but I think she should win. The other one that just sort of caught my eye a little bit is Rose Gaiath, who won one of the really valuable Arcana races at Deauville in August. Got a Sumion ride that when the money's down, Sumion gives it everything, and she absolutely got there. The horse in third ran second yesterday in the Criterium de Lyon behind Ozone. Ozone is probably the best 2-year-old filly in France, so that form is relatively solid. It would be a very small each way because I think Moon Target is probably a class above these, but Rose Gaiath showed enough to me at Deauville to make me think she is a group class filly, and provided there isn't too much range, she could get into a nice rhythm, but it would be very small stakes because I wouldn't be surprised if Moon Target is £7 better than the rest of this lot.
Okay, Dan was a dual Group 3 winner for Saïd Ben Sarur as well, so she's bred in the purple. She's daughter of Gaiath, and Billy Loughnane rides for Richard Hughes. A lot to like about her. Jack, she's a 15 to 2 shot. I'm still with the favourite. We can get 2 to 1 on Moon Target. I don't think you'll get that come race time, but who are you with?
Moon Target for me, Emmet. I'm completely with you in that regards. I'd have her a lot closer to probably the sort of 5 to 4 mark, if I'm being frank. Her form is far and away above the rest of the pack. I mean, she beat Aylin at Goodwood. Luke Morris, you've actually blocked me on Twitter, Luke, so I can probably speak out of turn here, Luke, but bit of a shocking ride that at Goodwood, I'm afraid.
You should take that back! You're a disgrace! You're only in the bottom of the barrel now. Could we open that kind of a statement?
I didn't think that was the most economical ride, let's say, and she beat that from a position that she probably shouldn't have. And interesting to note that the reason Wayne Lorden misses this weekend is because he copped a 12-day ban for his ride on Precise. So, you'd like to think that Moon Target, all things being fair, probably wins that race. And this is a much fairer track. She's a big galloper, as Adam said, much rather at a place like Doncaster. Sugar Island, lovely pedigree, but I thought disappointed last time out. Really should have got the job done. Venetian Lace is a Johnston horse who I liked her to begin with. I thought she made a nice impression in the Chesham, but she's one of those that's been overfaced. Worth noting that there's a decent-sized headwind on at Doncaster tomorrow, so you probably want some cover. She'll be one that will be smashed out front, as all the Johnston horses tend to be. I quite like Adam's selection, Rose Guyeth. I think if there's an improver in the pack, it might well be her, but I think she's got too much to find, and I think Moon Target, if she runs to her Goodwood form over a track that's more favourable, she should take all the beating here. So I think at 2-1, that's probably mark as my best bet of tomorrow, I think.
Oh, nice. Okay, hopefully it's great minds think alike and not fools seldom differ, hopefully.
No, definitely the former.
I know that people were raving about Sugar Island on debut. I didn't get it personally, and I wasn't surprised she was beaten. I was surprised that she was sent off the price she was, but the fact that she was sent off that price means that can't be her true running, so maybe she bounces back, but even if she does, I don't think it'll be enough to beat the target. I'd be more interested in Adam's horses. That's the danger.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, we'll go for the mile 6 race, the 3 o'clock. It's the Park Stakes, the Group 3. We've got 11 runners, and Danielle is a relatively short price favourite. I can understand why she ran a blinder runner comeback at Goodwood. She was considered good enough to compete in the Fillies and Mares race on Champions Day at Ascot. She ended up not running in that race due to, I think, the ground had gone against her, but she wasn't beaten far by Estrange. Last time out, and Estrange is considered potentially an arc horse. So there's a lot there to like about her. She should be a better 4-year-old, and she should come forward from her first run unless she bounces to the moon. But it's Jonathan Gosden, so she shouldn't really. And James Doyle gets to ride again. Whether she should be 3-1, though, I'm not so sure about that. Paddy Toomey's horse, Elena Asario, is 6-1 and has been backed. And that's a horse that Adam was talking to me about the other day. And Santorini Star, for the connections of Patrick Veitch, Tony Bloom, Ian McKelvey, Patrick running things, so I'm sure Jack will be able to. We're just going to keep up this lie about how Jack's related to him. It'll eventually, if you say it enough, if you gaslight people enough, people will just start to believe it.
I think he'll disown me when I give my opinion on that particular horse, but there we go.
Isn't that just the mainstream media opinion? Just continue saying it enough, and people will eventually just buy into it. We would never do that to you, Adam. Who's going to win?
This is quite a difficult race. I can see why Danielle is favourite on the bare form, but the only race this filly has ever won is a Weatherby Novice at 4-7. And I'm just not sure whether I'm confident enough to row in at that price. If I get beat by Danielle, so be it. Consent will be the one that's probably backed on the day, I think. I think people will watch the replay of that race in Deauville and think, what was Luke Morris doing? But to my eye, whilst Consent was probably unlucky, she finished half a length in front of a horse called Rabbit's Foot. Rabbit's Foot is a very nice Zarak, but she'd be 50s in this field. So for that reason, I can't really tell that price. I thought the solid dirty each way bet was Elana Osario. The only time she's finished outside the first 3 in her life was when she was 8th on debut. That form behind Romzina worked out, and since then she's run really consistently. She won the listed race at Cork last time. She beat Island Hopping, who ran okay at Galway earlier this week. I thought she ran around a bit in the final furlong, looked to be rolling around, but then in the last 50 yards, she just put her head down, galloped through the line, good run out speed. I just felt like Ilana Osario is the horse who's going to run her race. Now, I don't think she's a Group 1 filly. So if there is something in here that's capable of taking another step forward, they're going to improve past her. But I just thought she was really solid, and she's going to run her race. And at around 13-2, I'll be surprised if there's 3 better than her. So I'd rather back her each way because I just can't trust Danielle to actually put her head in front.
And Billy Lee will be on board. He had a double on his comeback the other night as well, which is really good to see. So he's going into the race meeting in good form, fit as a flea. 6-1 is the price about Elenia Asoria. There is some money for Consent. She's been backed into 92, so that gamble has already begun, and it kind of makes sense. Jack, for you?
Yeah, I'd be against Consent, Emmet, and for the same reasons Adam mentioned. The horse she beat on her belated comeback as a 3-year-old was stuffed in a listed race at Salisbury. she's certainly a horse with upsides, but I think to jump into a Group 2, albeit a fairly weak one, I think she's got quite a bit to find. So I think she's fairly short at sort of 4-1, 9-2. I think Danielle is a solid selection. If she doesn't bounce after that belated comeback, I think she's the right favourite. It's a boring shout. I probably wouldn't be having a bet in this race, if I'm being frank, but I'd probably have a more sort of 9-4 sort of mark than 3-1. She's still got that Group 1 fillies and mares entry. I think she's got to win this if she's got a chance of going there. And I think the juice in the ground, we're probably looking at good to soft, slow side of good at the worst tomorrow. And she does like a bit of cut in the ground. So I probably would be with Danielle, but it's a tentative selection. Couldn't put you off Adam Shout and Alana Azario. Paddy Twomey, great chainer, as we know. Santorini Start, I think, is despite my namesake having involvement, a glorified handicapper. Couldn't be with her at all. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I'll get kicked off the surname with that one. But it's a weak race, and I think Danielle should probably win, is my assessment.
How dare you, Jack? How dare you express an opinion? How dare you express an opinion, Jack? My goodness, that's absolutely shocking. It doesn't conform to the narrative. You'll fit right in here, Jack. You're all right. We'll go to Friday. I have a feeling there's going to be a scumbag each way, Lucky 15/Lucky 31, and Danielle's going to be in it. And it's all going to hinge around one horse on Friday. Who could it be? Before we get to that race, though, the Flying Scotsman Stakes over 7 furlongs. Catelius, who's got that form with Publish and Distant Storm. He was a wide margin winner the last day, but he was 14-1 on. If he didn't win that race, then Dougie Costello would have been asking some questions, I think. Why are you sending me to Yarmouth to ride this yak if he couldn't win that? Dougie did the business. Dougie's in great form. That's good to see. He's a good friend of the show. Do or do not? 9-2. He's out again. All right. Maybe the drop back and trip will help. He maybe wasn't drawn in the right place the other day, and you can make excuses perhaps. He got beaten at York. A winner in the Convivial Maiden at York, who was well back too, was Francisco Baldi. Let's go with that. Christoph Soumion takes over for the injured Ryan Moore. Hanklow for the Sheikh Obeid Silks, who are continuing to win. Carl Burke unleashed a potential superstar the other day. I know Adam doesn't agree with me, but I certainly think so. 9-2, and Northern Champion, second one for Ed Walker, 13-2. All right. Is this the moment that do or do not, up to 7 furlongs, now strikes?
I'm afraid it's not, Emmett. Not for me, anyway. I think this is becoming the ultimate bridesmaid, this horse. There's a few like him. I think Rosalian's another one, not to go off topic, but just seemed to be a bit of an after the Lord's Mayor's show type horse. Always comes too late. I mean, look, he's running to a high level. He's certainly the standard bearer, but I think he's prone to getting beat by an improver. And for me, that would be Hankelo. Annoyingly, I was all over this horse for the Acomb, tipped him anti-post at 14s, usual stuff, went into about 5s, not declared. So that sums up my life, but doesn't have to sum up yours. I don't know why he didn't turn up there. I've not had a welfare report, but the fact he turns up here would obviously be a positive. Whilst the form hasn't overly worked out in behind at York, I think the impression that he made, the sort of straightforward nature of his debut, decent time clock that day, I think he's a good horse moving forwards. He's been given the right entries. Catalyst, he's got the form with Publish. Obviously did that no harm at Haydock the other day. But I think if there's quite a lot of exposed sort of, I don't want to say rabble, that sounds really rude, but it's not the strongest field, and I think it's prone to an improver. And I think after only the one start, Hankelo would be the one for me. And I think he steps forward a good bunch on Friday.
Okay, 9-2 is one of the prices I'm seeing available about him. Definitely has a bit of a reputation. He did win impressively first time out. Adam, what do you make of the race?
I thought this was an absolute mess from start to finish.
Yeah.
I mean, do or do not. You could try and get some of your money back by just backing in place only. I don't think he's going to win. He's sort of forecast horse. Once, as we said the other day, once is unlucky, twice is a coincidence. Any more than that is a pattern. And I just couldn't be having that. If you really push me, I would look at something like Fresco Baldi. I thought that was a really good performance the last day at York. He's got the Dewhurst entry and the Futurity entry that sort of roughly caught the eye. But this is a no-bet race for me. I kind of agree with Jack. I think there's sort of one or two in here that you'd think would progress, but there's also a lot where you think we know roughly from their form what they are. And I don't think there's too many Futurity and Dewhurst contenders in this field.
Yeah, I would agree. I was somewhat interested in Roger Varian's horse, and I really like Ray Dawson, but not enough to be putting him up as a tip. 12-1, maybe you could take a swing. The O'Brien horse is very interesting. It's a no-bet race for me. The 225 is a bet race for me, though. I want to hear what the boys have to say, first of all, but the Carlsberg Danish Pilsner Flying Childers Stakes. Did you get your cans of Carlsberg, Adam? Were they sent to you?
No, I didn't realise we were having alcohol on the show. Otherwise, I'd have brought some in.
Of course.
You know what, Emmett? I'm currently drinking squash, but it is out of a Carlsberg Pilsner glass. So look, I didn't plan this, but here we are.
Well, I've got a pint glass as well that is technically, it's a tanker. It's not Carlsberg yet, but it can be. We're open to the idea, Carlsberg, of drinking your refreshing liquid on air and bragging to everybody about how amazing it is and how you too should be enjoying probably the best lager in the world. What's that? We're shills and sellouts. Yeah, of course we are. Everybody who does a podcast is a shill and a sellout. How do you think we pay for all this stuff? Goodness sakes. Carlsberg, talk to us. We'll definitely sell some stuff for you. We'll move some units on your behalf. Mission Central, the 11-4 favourite. Lady a Man, 3-1 after a... was it underwhelming? Yeah, it was, considering her price. The Nunthorpe, and she drifted wildly beforehand as well. Havana Hurricane, 6-1. At least he's won races, to be fair to him. Revival Power, 11-2. Military Code, oh, dearie me, 6-1. And Kansas, well, he's won a race as well, but he's in a competition with Do or Do Not for Hound of the Week, 14-1. Cue them both going winning. Do the double now. Adam, who do you like?
Is this not just obvious? Does the Fav not just win?
Yes.
I did a search this morning on the stats site I use, and it just kept coming up with an error code. So I'm assuming that means Aidan O'Brien has never run a 2-year-old gelding in the UK.
No,
but
Oklahoma City won that big sales race being postponed. That's the only one I can think of.
This lad's a good thing, I thought. The way he ran at the Curragh was really impressive. He showed bright early speed. Okay, you have to allow for the fact that at the Curragh, if you show early speed and get the rail, it's a definite advantage. But the way he hit the line in the final furlong suggested to me that he had enough in hand. I just don't think they'll get to him. What I'm hoping and praying is that we don't get Christophe Soumillon thinking, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to tuck this lad in and try and come swinging late on. Because I don't think he's that type of horse. I think he's a point and shoot. But I just thought, if you look through this field, Lady a Man's blotted her copybook. Then your third in, you've got the likes of Military Code, Havana Hurricane. They've been on the go a while. We know about them. Revival Power was one that I was quite sweet on at York, but I just think that's coming out of Nursery Company, and this looks like a bit of an afterthought. I just think Mission Central is the Group 1 juvenile in this field. He's going to take another step forward, and he's probably going to win. When I priced it, I was thinking if I could get 7-4 twos, that would be fair, because I think the nature of the track and the way this race is going to pan out, if he's in front after 2 furlongs, he'll be in front of the line, in my opinion. I'm
seeing 11-4 and 3-1 available, and I think that's absolutely insane. The only horse that I'm worried about is Revival Power, and if she's drawn on the far side, she's coming out of 11, which might not be easy for her, but she gets Oisin Murphy, and she was good. She's obviously got the pedigree to be able to go and do really well. That was a nice performance at York. The form with Spicy Mark reads well too. I know she was disappointing in the Coolmore Nunthorpe, but it was the Coolmore Nunthorpe Stakes. So she's the only one that I would be really fearful of. Lady a Man, no thanks. I have absolutely no idea what that run in the Nunthorpe will have done to her. But the whole reason that Ger Lyons didn't want to run her is because he was afraid of it having a negative impact on her. And I would need to see that horse going back into the winner's enclosure to be sure that the Nunthorpe didn't blow the head off her. And this is a relatively quick turnaround after that kind of an experience too. So no thanks. Nice try, Diddy. Mission Central for me. I know that there's some concerns about the headgear, the head carriage. I'm not worried about that at all. He was very wayward on his debut at Dundalk when he ran all over the track. The gelding operation knocked some sense into him. He still carried his head a bit wayward, but that's an 8-length demolition job at the Curragh. And then he steps up into a Group 3. The Publican Sun was closing at him at the line, but I think he would have pulled out more if needed. Straight after the race, Wayne Lorden was saying, this is a faster horse than I thought, and we could go back and trip. That's exactly what they do. They won't see which way he's gone. He's one of the good things of the week. Jack.
Full house, chaps. Completely agree. I mean...
Get stuck in now! 5-4. Let's get him off 5-4.
How often does Aidan O'Brien geld a horse? I mean, handful in the last however many years. So clearly there was, as you said, Emmet, there was maybe an attitude problem on debut. He's clearly seen potential in his work to think, I want to persist with this horse. Who knows where he'll end up, but I think for the rest of this season, he's in the right hands. To win a big field Curragh Maiden by 8 lengths, I can't remember the last horse that's done that. I really can't. That's seriously good stuff. And that Publican Son, who he beat last time out, that's a really well liked horse. I mean, that goes from the Middle Park. It's well fancied. It's been really well bet. So that form's not bad whatsoever. And there's just nothing in there. I completely agree with the comments around Lady of Man. Look, she's an early 2-year-old. She's done all her winning pretty early doors. We're now in September. Other horses are catching up with her physically, and the fact Jer comes here, he's so maligned to run anything in England, and he's now just gone, we'll just run in Doncaster, who cares, kind of thing. It just screams of kind of we're not sure what to do. I think he's a great operator, but the fact they come here would be a negative for me. Revival Power's solid, but she's kind of shown her hand really at this point. Mission Central for me would mark as 5-4, 6-4 shot, so 3-1, plenty of value. Fill your boots.
We just booked the flights to Dubai now. I mean, don't get me wrong, an 11-4 shot is not sending us to Dubai. Gamble responsibly and all that malarkey, but banker for the multiples. Absolute. Don't complicate your mind. Tune into TalkSport 2 Friday afternoon at 2:25, because when the horse wins, I won't be able to contain myself. I'll just be massively ecstatic. And if he gets chinned, I'll be really annoyed. Really annoyed. So make sure you join us on TalkSport 2 either way on Friday afternoon. We'll go for the Howard Wright Doncaster Cup, the Group 2 for the Stairs. Sweet William is your 11-8 favourite over 2 mile 2. This is probably the best chance that he's going to have of winning a race all season. Easy to say that when he's a dominant favourite. Hip Hop Delacroix is 4-1 for William Buick and Willie Mullins. Okay. Sunway is the same price for Oisin Murphy and David Minussier. He rides because Qatar Racing are involved in the ownership of the horse. And that's why he's not on board. Coltrane, who's a 12-1 shot with PJ McDonald on board. He's been having a great season for Andrew Balding. A Kyle of Lochlash was really impressive the last day at Goodwood, but that was in a handicap. Kenny Cutted with Tom Marquand on board here. Maybe he's a 9-1 shot. What did you make of the race overall, Adam?
This is one of those ones when I sort of have to test my mettle as to, do I have the bottle to back Sweet William at 11-8, because he should win this. He was less than 2 lengths behind Trawlerman at York. Last year he beat Point Lonsdale and Trueshan in this race. And here he is with the second favourite being Hip Hop Delacroix, who just has had 2 average goes in the Ebor and will always be considered unlucky. You're kind of struggling to find, it's not necessarily that I want to back Sweet William at 11-8, but I'm kind of thinking, what would I, if I was going to lay him, so I'm getting 8-11 the field, what am I laying him with? What is there that's really going to take the big step forward? It's a real struggle. I think this is probably a no-bet race for me. But I do want to watch Pendragon, purely because I thought it was a little bit unusual for Sir Mark Prescott to have what looks to be his Cesarovic 3-year-old running in a Group 2. Now, it might be that this is a prep for the Cesarovic, in which case you won't get the all-action Luke Morris drive in the finishing stages. But it just seemed an odd move. Surely there were other options they could have prepped him in rather than coming here in front of the cameras. But he's already got a mark of 97. So, he might be one to sort of, if it looks like they're trying and press up for the place or something like that. But really, if Sweet William doesn't win this, I don't think he will get another opportunity to win a Group 2 that's as weak as this race is.
I know Rebels Romance was running over a mile 6 and he didn't really like it, but he still got within a length of him. And for a brief moment, it looked like he was going to beat him. Like, if he can't win this, Sunway needs to be gelded. Badly so. Kyle of Lochlash, I really like that horse, and I'd love to see a progeny of Highland Reel doing really well. It was a handicap he won the last day, so he needs to step forward. Pendragon's fascinating for all the reasons Adam just mentioned, but for all the reasons Adam's just mentioned, it's a raised eyebrow with him. And if Hip Hop Delacroix wins this, I think Jamie Wren might just go on a rampage. It's like, he can win a Group 2, but he can't win the Ebor. He'll lose his mind. Surely he just wins, Jack.
Oh, sorry, chaps. Not for me. Look, I just couldn't back a horse like this at 11-8. It's not going to be a big betting race for me. I know what you said about Sunway, Emmet, but he was the only one that I sort of came down on. He's never been over this trip. he's keeping on at the end. He's another horse who just sort of stays on. He's very one pace. But, looking at, he was only beaten a length and 3/4 in the Leger by Jan Bruegel. How many horses in this pack will get close to him? That close to him. I think Hip Hop de Loire is possibly the worst price horse of the week. Okay. You were beaten in the Ebor. I backed him in the Ebor, so I'm probably pocket talking here. But well beaten in the Ebor. How on earth do you turn up in a Group 2 and you're 9-2? Gosh, be double figures for me. So, look, I don't like Sweet William. He's just one of those horses that finds a way to get beat. But equally, there's nothing in here really that could trouble him. But I think if anything's going to improve for the trip, could be some way. He's got that form of Jan Bruegel. He's beaten 3/4 of a length by Los Angeles in an Irish Derby a year ago. Say what you like about Los Angeles, but that form in comparison to this is pretty solid stuff. I think this just could be the making of him, but I'll be a very small bet at around the sort of 9-2 mark.
To be fair, he did get within 3/4 of a length of Scandinavia and Illinois, and he's not that far off Sweet William in the Goodwood Cup.
Yeah, and I think the extra trip might unlock a bit because he just looks slow, and slow horses might win this race, to be fair. So
I backed him in that Goodwood Cup, and that was the day I realised, you need to be gelded, son. You really need a gelding operation.
I think
was that right. You or the horse?
A bit of both. I think he was because he was a Group 1 winning 2-year-old. They clearly want to make a stallion out of him, but where's he going to stand? Kazakhstan? Sorry, David.
I believe there's a very popular breeding operation out there, apparently. So
I'm sure there is.
That might work. Who knows? The Turkish breeding industry works quite well. There's India, Pakistan. Yep. Yeah, it's all thriving racing industries. Who knows? Good work, mate. Good work. Okay, let's get your thoughts on the two big races of the weekend. Just very, very briefly. We've got the St Leger. The betting involves Scandinavia. He's the even money favourite. We know the 3 jockeys who are going to be involved for Aidan O'Brien. We don't know who's going to be on which, but I'm going to guess by my powers of deduction, last year's winning jockey Sean Levy will ride the favourite Scandinavia, Tom Marquand will ride Lambourne, and Miguel Barcelona will ride Stay True. Do you agree with that, Adam?
Probably, I would have thought, but I wouldn't like to price it. Is it not just Aidan decides what he feels like the day before? It just seems a bit... The Barcelona one's kind of the one that threw me from left field. I thought, surely there's other jockeys in the UK that you go to rather than Barcelona. This isn't Perry Longchamp, this is Doncaster. So, but maybe Barcelona might throw a curveball, and they might put Barcelona on Lambourne purely because he has been riding a lot of front runners for Francis Henri Graffard all year.
That's a good point.
It might just suit to have someone, because we're all sort of sitting here thinking and assuming that Lambourne is going to lead unless, Saratoga is maybe sort of just sacrificed to guarantee the pace. But it's just such a mess, this race, because you're worrying about the jockey bookings. You're trying to work out what Aidan's thinking. And also the price at the moment. I just look at Lambourne and think, did people not watch the race at York? That was a rancid run. Absolutely rancid. And I don't understand how Karma's can be a bigger price, because I looked at Karma's in the Great Voltage and thought, yeah, that's a nice prep for the St Leger. Race that didn't really suit, slightly outpaced, stayed on. Lambourne looked like horrible. Didn't like the way he shaped. He looked beaten at the 2 furlong pole. Couldn't be having him. I think this is probably just bloody obvious and Scandinavia wins. I know he was getting weight from Illinois, but that form's like a lot better than the Great Voltager in my opinion. If there's an improver to annoy and upset the Irish, it's probably Further. I thought the way he ran at Newbury shaped really well. I like what he did in the final furlong. The run-out speed was good. He's pulled a long way clear of Epic Poet and Candleford. Now, he still needs to step up, and whether that's quite good enough to win a St Leger against Scandinavia is open for debate. But I thought Further was probably too big. I'd have Further a shorter price than Stay True, and probably around the same price as Lambourne on the evidence of the last run. I can't see myself having a bet in this race, because I just think Scandinavia is probably just about the right price. And if Scandinavia stays on and wins by 2 lengths, we'll all go, well, that was bloody obvious. He's won a Goodwood Cup and we should have just been on it. But for sort of the exotic forecast, I might throw Scandinavia and Further together. because I think Further's being underestimated because we're assuming Aiden's going to dominate.
I think Lambourne's a good thing. I think if Lambourne had run in the Goodwood Cup, he'd have won it. And Lazy Griff was going to be a big player in this race. Lazy Griff had no chance of beating Lambourne. Absolutely no chance. That was a desperate run at York the other day, but it was good to firm ground. It was a messy race. He looked like he was carrying a bit of condition, and he was giving weight away. He'll bounce back. He'll win this. I'm with him. At 11-4, I'll take Lambourne to bounce back. Jack?
Yeah, look, if you're going by weights and measures, Emmet, Lambourne is certainly the horse to be with. It just depends how much you rate that Derby form. You know, I'm still on the fence about it myself. Personally, I think if there's going to be an improver, it's Stay True. I thought that was a really good run last time out at York. You know, he's only had the 3 races. We don't need to talk about the Lingfield Derby trial, but yeah, I think that was a slightly economical ride, shall we say, from Richard Kingscote to not win that one that day. But look, I thought he ran really well at York and was keen. He was ridden forward. I think given the chance to settle, you know, but you're playing the lottery, aren't you? He could just be sent forward. We don't know that. We don't know who's going to ride him. But I think if he does end up being the kind of third choice, you're probably going to get a price. You know, we're probably looking at double figures on the day. And I've just always seen something in this horse to suggest that stepping up in trip, getting a bit more experience, there's going to be improvement. And I've got to stick to my guns. It's an open ledger. Scandinavia is the right favourite, absolutely. But I thought 2 miles was the making of him. Stepping back in trip, I'm not sure. Lambourne has got to go and improve from York. Completely agree with what you're saying. He wasn't 100% fit. This, you know, could have been a sighter towards this. You're playing Aidan O'Brien lottery, but I'm going to go with Stay True just because I think there's a horse there. I think he improves for the experience.
I'm pretty sure as we've been talking, Stay True has been cut from 10s to 8s.
Wasn't me, Emmet. I've been talking away. I wish it was, but
was it you, Adam? Did you have were you persuaded by Jack?
Must be my neighbour or something tapped into the to the case made there.
That's the kind of market move that could only be made by a man like Patrick Veitch, who's listening to his brother going, you know what? He's talking a bit of sense.
I'm
there.
wide in, yeah. It's other ear set in here.
He does have a very similar profile to Jan Bruegel, though. While he's not the same in the sense that Jan Bruegel came into it unbeaten in 3 starts, you could argue he should be unbeaten in these first 2 at least. Anyway, I mean, we all know that.
Yeah,
and he's almost certainly needed the run at York. Almost certainly. And again, messy race. Just a really messy race. Throw-out race.
He's a Galileo, mate. Wouldn't we love to see one final classic winner?
The last Galileo. There is a horse knocking around for someone.
Yeah, he's not very good.
He's useless.
Carl Burke.
He's useless. Carl Burke's horse. Yeah, the Jing colours. He's absolutely useless. It's like, this is the horse that should have been called the last Galileo. The real last Galileo. I'd love to see him win. I'm with Lambourne, but I wouldn't be in the least bit surprised if by the time we're recording on Thursday, I've completely listened back to this and decided, you know what, Jack's right. I'm going to go with Stay True. To the Irish Champion Stakes, I'm pretty certain I'm going to be sticking with my selection in this race because I've backed him and he's a big price. And I want to take on the favourite Delacroix. I like him an awful lot and there's no ombudsman to worry about. This race is not as good as last year's, in my opinion. There's no Auguste Rodin. There's no economics. There is a Shin Emperor, but I know he's been pleasing them on the gallops at the Curragh, but his trainer has once again said this is a prep for the Arc. So he shouldn't be winning this if it is. But hey, maybe he will. He's a very good horse in his day. He was second in the Japan Cup. He was a good winner out in Saudi Arabia, and he was probably just a little bit over the top when they went to Dubai. Delacroix is the one they all have to beat. He's one of the highest rated horses in the world. Why do I not want to back him, Adam? I just get the feeling that he's a bit of a head case. He showed that at Epsom. He showed it at York. He's odds on. No. And Zayran was good the other day, but he looked slow at Royal Ascot in Los Angeles, let the form down in Paris Longchamp. So I want to skip him as well. What's your take on the race?
I don't want to back Delacroix. When we did the review of the German International, I think there was some talk of a forfeit that if Delacroix beat Ombudsman, the other 2 would have to wear Speedos.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, from Peter Michael's point of view, whether he got non-runner, no bet on that. But I actually think Ombudsman not being here, makes it harder for Delacroix, because if Ombudsman was here, they'd have rented Burr Castle for the weekend, set a really good pace. Delacroix wouldn't have too much to think about. In this race, he might have a bit to think about. I don't really like Shin Emperor. I thought the run in Riyadh was really good, but the form from Saudi Arabia doesn't tend to translate, and there's a world of difference between that track in Riyadh in February and coming here. I don't fancy him for the Arc, so I can't really fancy him for this. And then I'm sort of starting to struggle. But actually, I've just seen that Chris Hayes is jocked up on Anmart, and that's enough to persuade me to back Anmart. I actually think Anmart might just be the obvious one in this. He's won a champion stakes, admittedly, because Calandagan got one of the worst rides I've ever seen, and I'll never get over it. But he did win a champion stakes, and then his form is pretty good with Los Angeles. Maybe that form with Ombudsman is just bloody good. Because actually, at the 2 furlong pole, in that race at Ascot, you're thinking Anmart's going to win.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, because Ombudsman comes past him, but that's since been proven to be a very good piece of form. I think Anmart is better value at 11-2 than Delacroix at a short price. And if Delacroix proves to be better, so be it. This is a good opportunity for Anmart. If there's any rain, it will help his case. Outside of that, I was struggling to make a case for a horse that I thought could be guaranteed to run their race, whereas I think Anmart will be very consistent. It's still the slight doubt as like, can he really do it against a progressive 3-year-old? But I'm getting a decent enough price to find out. And on the bare form, he should at least be a shorter price than Shin Emperor, surely. So for that reason, I'm quite happy to take that.
He has the feeling of a price-wise horse, doesn't he? That he's going to end up being well backed on the day. There's enough there to like about him. Listen, I like him as well. He's one of the highest rated horses in the world. There's an awful lot to like about him. They've kept him fresh. Ground will be fine for him. He's run well in Ireland before. White Birch will be interesting if the rain keeps falling. It's good ground at Leopardstown now. There's not really enough rain forecast for it to really turn it into a torrential downpour. But I'd keep an eye on him with a view to the Arc, because that might be the race where he comes alive, and that Arc is wide open. I wanted to take a swing at something, and the more I looked at the race, the more I decided that there's a standout bet, and it's Hot as Hell. The form makes really strong appeal. His juvenile form, he beat Swagman twice last year. I didn't think much of Swagman at the start of the season. I didn't even have him in my mind. But then he wins the Classic Trial. He hasn't run again since the Prix-Niel, and I'd forgive him that run. He chased home Henri Matisse in the Futurity Stakes. He goes on to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf and the French 2,000 Guineas, and finished second to Field of Gold in the St. James's Palace Stakes. Just behind Hot as Hell that day was Scotty Champ, who wins the Vincent O'Brien National Stakes in his next start. The form of his Group 2 Beresford win was showcased several times. Tennessee Stud has gone on to win a French Group 1. He was third in the Derby. He ran a blinder in the Prix-Niel at the weekend. Trinity College was a subsequent Royal Ascot winner and second in a Group 1. Back in fourth was the Derby winner Lambourne, who finished fifth that day. You've got Wimbledon Hawkeye finishing third to him in the Futurity Stakes at Doncaster. They pulled miles clear, him and Delacroix. Delacroix has obviously improved significantly this season, but the fact that he could beat him that day, he showed an awful lot of guts, a lot of class to win. There was ease in the ground. If the rain continues to fall, it's going to help him, but I think the surface he's going to get, good ground, will be fine for him. This season, he's finished third in the Irish 2,000 Guineas behind Field of Gold and Cosmic Year. I'm convinced Cosmic Year is a Group 1 horse. That was his seasonal debut. He was supposed to go for the French 2,000 Guineas. He missed that, so it wasn't his intended starting point. He then goes to the Eclipse. He's just behind Delacroix and Ombudsman, two of the highest rated horses in the world. The two horses who finished in front of him were classic winners. Ruling Court, who won the Guineas, Camille Pizarro, who won the French Derby. His French Derby form was franked by the Prix-Niel winner at the weekend. He finishes in front of Sosi, who'd won 2 Group 1s this season and was beaten a short head in the Prix Foy at the weekend. And then they took him to America for the Saratoga Derby. Jessica Harrington's a brilliant trainer. She's never had a winner in America. And the way he was ridden that day, she wasn't going to have a winner that night either. Shane Foley's a great jockey, but I don't really know what the plan was there. He's poorly positioned off the pace, and then he gets blocked when he goes to go. But to me, he showed enough speed late on to think, you're still a Group 1 horse, and you're going to pop up at a big price somewhere. His pedigree offers plenty of encouragement. His granddam is an unraced half-sister to Jim Bulger's 5-time Group 1 winner, Alexander Goldrun. He's by triple Group 1 winner, Too Darn Hot. He's sired Fallen Angel and Tornado Alert to win Group 1s this season. In a very open renewal of this race, I will take an each-way swing at 33-1/25s at Hot as Hell. Jack, who are you with?
After that case, Emmet, I think I'm going to have a few quid on the Hot as Hell each way, to be fair. The only thing I have with him is the race planning feels very odd.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Pulled out of Longchamp on ground reasons, and then you go to Saratoga on firm ground. I know big pot, etc. Doesn't make sense to me. But on the bare form, beating 3 3/4 in a pretty unsatisfactory Eclipse, beat Delacroix last year in the Futurity. 33s versus 5 to 4. Like it's a bet. Certainly couldn't put you off. Personally, I was with Adam's shout with Anmat. I think there's a bit of rain due tomorrow, and I think that would help his cause. I think this is just a really solid animal. I think he runs his race every time. He's got some really good form in the book. I just think he's a little bit shorter than the 11 to 2 suggests for me. The horses I were against, Shin Emperor. How can he's come for money today. He was outpaced last year.
Yeah.
What's changed? This is a 12 furlong horse. Nothing's changed whatsoever. So I don't get how you could back him. White Birch becoming the kind of nearly horse of the century. I love him. I think he's great. But we don't see him enough. How fit's he going to be off since May? This will be a stepping stone to the Arc. I can't see him being fully wound up. And then, and what else are you looking at? Carl Burke's Royal Champion wants decent ground. It's it's a Group 2 horse for me. That's not going to feature. So I don't think it's the strongest race. But saying that, I'd still be against Delacroix. I've never been in love with that horse. There's temperament issues there. Is he going to get the pace set up? I'm not sure. I know you've got the pacemaker Serengeti, in there. But even so, I still think Anmar is probably the solid selection, and Hot as Hell certainly overpriced at 33s. So I'd be having a small swing at the pair. I think you guys are spot on.
I'm amazed the three of us are against Delacroix. I didn't think all three of us would be. I thought one of us would. I'm not surprised if he wins. If he wins, makes sense.
It's just a price thing for me.
You can't back him.
He's not a rock solid horse. 5 to 4. And we spoke about this pre-show, Emmett. I mean, do you think Christoph's going to have ridden work on him? Maybe this week. I'm not sure, but it's a tough horse. How familiar is he going to be with it? And I'm not sure he should be priced like that personally.
The Japanese jockey is over to ride in Cork and in Clonmel, so fair play to him for familiarizing himself.
Getting an experience, yeah.
But he'll need it because we've said this before. I don't really get the whole thing of having the Japanese jockeys in Ireland and France. You want to win the Arc, use a French jockey. It's the simple thing to do. But hey, I think they really desperately wanted to be a Japanese. It's funny because he's a French horse. They've bought him in Europe, taken him to France to train him to win the Arc. So you want to win the Arc with a Japanese horse, but actually he's a French horse. But we're going to do it with the Japanese teams. Okay, fair enough. Best of luck.
Just get Johnny Deneen's opinion on it. That's all that matters.
No.
You wouldn't win a Dingle Derby. That's not where the Mars bar. Shout out Johnny Deneen.
Great guy.
What are the best bets for the boys from the races we've discussed? Or is there something we didn't talk about that you would want to put forward?
Adam, I'll let you go.
Okay, I'll go first. This is going out tonight, Emmet, right?
Yeah.
We're going to get this out on Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay, so the last race on Thursday is a 12 furlong handicap for 3-year-olds and older, 5:15. And I really like the James Ferguson trained Explode. He was a really, really impressive winner at Salisbury last time, won by 4 lengths, absolutely canter clear, really good closing sectionals. I think he's miles better than a mark of 85. He's by Sotsas, so any range should be fine. The Dam was Group 2 placed in France over this trip. And it's more, the more I look to this race, the more confident I become. Second in the market is Munsif for Roger Varian. Got beaten at Goodwood last time. They've immediately reached for the first time Hood. Third in is Muhajim, who was beaten off a mark of 82 at Kempton. They're reaching for first time cheek pieces from the Haggis Yard. Now, the fourth horse in the betting is Crowdquake, who several times this year I've taken on. He's made me look stupid, but I just think Crowdquake is finally coming to the end of his winning run. And as much as I have spent a lot of time watching the Racing League, I think that Explode is a potential group horse. And there's nothing of that calibre running in the Racing League. So I'll be pretty disappointed if Oisin Murphy and Qatar Racing aren't in the winners' enclosure in the last race on the card.
Blindly putting that into the multiple. blindly. Explode. That'll do. Thanks very much. You had me at Oisin Murphy, James Ferguson, well handicapped horse. Jack, for you?
Keeping it simple, Emmet. I think Mission Central Friday 225. 3-1 still available on my screen. Fill your boots. I think that's a cracking bet.
I concur. Mission Central, absolute good thing. Probably the number one selection in my 10-bet 10 to follow for Doncaster, I think. Unless something pops up in the next couple of hours as I'm going through Saturday's racing, I'm pretty certain he's going to be the number one. So it's going to be all Ducker. Oh, dear. Sour faces. Jack, really enjoyed having you on the show. We would look forward to hopefully having you on again pretty soon. And the next time, I'll try not to make you wait for 40 minutes as I prep for an interview beforehand. Oh, God.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me, Emmet. Enjoyed
Apologies, and thank you for your patience. Really enjoyed having you on the show. Where can we follow you on X?
Punting Winners, although I don't always do that. But let's hope after this show, the name stays true. Winners galore.
Adam, when's the next TPD piece coming out?
What have we got? We will have a review of the St Leger on Monday, possibly Sunday, if I can get it turned around quickly enough, which we'll have. And then we've also got a preview of some of the group races on Friday and Saturday, which should be on the At The Races website as well.
Excellent. AtTheRaces.com. Make sure you're checking that out. And the excellent work from TPD. Ignore the rest of it. You just want to go to the TPD stuff for Adam. And of course, the more you do that, the more they go, hang on, this Adam Mills stuff is absolute gold. We need to do more of this. So hopefully support for the boys there. Weekend preview podcast will be out on Thursday evening, as per usual, on all the usual podcast apps, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. The downloads have been massive recently, so thank you very much for your support of the show. It means a lot to us. Make sure you've hit subscribe. Make sure you've smashed the like button on this episode. Don't just touch it, smash that like button, and hopefully there'll be winners galore. The last 6 podcasts have been winners. And in each 6 of those shows that we've been previewing racing, there's been at least one double-figure priced winner. Not a guarantee. Past performance is not a guarantee of future success, but come on, Mission Central! And if Hot as Hell wins that Irish Champion Stakes, oh my goodness. From Adam Mills, Jack Veitch, and me, Emmet Kennedy, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to the Final Furlong podcast. We're back with more content for you very, very soon. Hopefully sooner rather than later. We'll talk to you again. Look after yourself and each other. God bless.
Thanks for spending some time with us on the Final Furlong podcast. We're independent media, so if you like what we do, hit like, share, and subscribe. It's free, it's quick, and it genuinely helps. And if you enjoyed this episode, there's plenty more where that came from. Don't miss out. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major platforms, and join us on the gravy train. The Final Furlong podcast, independent, unfiltered, and powered by you.